Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you pressed play, something in your spirit already said yes. Your brain is one of the most powerful tools you possess, but it is just that, a tool. It is not your identity, not your ruler, and certainly not your destiny. The greatest deception many fall into is believing that whatever the brain thinks must be truth. But in truth, the brain merely reflects the dominant thoughts and beliefs you feed it. It reacts, it responds, and it records, but it does not lead unless you allow it to. The moment you understand this spiritual principle, you begin to walk in authority. The brain has been given to you to serve your divine self, to obey your higher vision, and to help carry out the instructions given by the Spirit, not the other way around. You are not created to live at the mercy of random thoughts, fear-based programming, or the echo of your past. You were created to live as a deliberate creator, shaping your mental patterns with spiritual truth and commanding your brain to obey the blueprint of your soul's purpose. Your brain is constantly being programmed through repetition, emotion, and focus. Most people unconsciously program their minds with limitation, worry, or memories of failure, and then they wonder why their lives seem stuck in patterns they cannot break. But when you awaken to your spiritual authority, you stop letting the brain write the script, and you start giving it new instructions. You no longer say, "This is just the way I am," or "My brain doesn't work like that." Instead, you say, "I direct my thoughts, I choose new beliefs, I train my brain to serve my purpose." Just like a muscle, the brain can be trained. Just like a tool, it can be sharpened, but only when you take your rightful position as master over it. When the brain is in control, you live in survival mode. It scans for danger, anticipates the worst, and resists change. But your higher self, the part of you connected to the divine, does not operate in fear. It operates in vision, faith, and purpose, and when you begin to operate from that place of truth, the brain begins to adjust its patterns. It stops being the dictator and becomes the faithful assistant. It starts rewiring itself not to defend you from imaginary threats, but to support you in building your dreams. This is not wishful thinking, it is spiritual law. The brain adapts to the instructions it is given, and those instructions come from the dominant vibration you carry, your beliefs, your spoken words, your inner pictures. When you speak life, when you affirm divine truth, when you see yourself victorious in the unseen realm, your brain starts reprogramming its neural pathways. It stops obsessing over the past and starts preparing for the future you are commanding into existence. But if you remain passive, if you allow every fearful thought to pass unchallenged, then the brain will keep reinforcing limitation. That is why spiritual discipline is not just about silence or meditation. It is about taking the reins of your mind and saying, "This is where we are going, this is what I believe, this is what I expect." You were never meant to be a victim of your mental habits, you were meant to master them. Your brain is an obedient servant. It will believe what you feed it, it will build what you visualize, it will respond to what you consistently declare. If you constantly feed it images of peace, words of power, and a vibration of faith, it will adapt and align with that truth. You do not need to fight your brain, you simply need to lead it. You must stop asking your brain for permission and start giving it direction. Change does not begin with the world outside you, it begins within the unseen realm of your own thoughts. What most people don't realize is that every visible transformation starts as an invisible shift in the mind. The outer world is only a mirror reflecting the inner beliefs you carry. To wait for circumstances to change before you change your mind, said is like staring into a mirror and demanding the reflection to smile first. It will never happen. The mirror can only respond to you, not lead you. Likewise, life responds to your inner state, your dominant vibration, and the mental atmosphere you carry day after day. You cannot experience abundance while holding beliefs of lack. You cannot feel peace while thinking thoughts of chaos. The change you want to see must be conceived in thought before it can be born in experience. When people feel stuck, they often blame situations, people, or external forces. They believe the job, the money, the health, or the relationship must shift first before they can feel empowered. But that is the illusion. The real shift comes the moment you change your inner dialogue, your assumptions, and your vision. The moment you begin to say, "It is already mine," instead of "When will it happen?" The universe starts to rearrange itself to match your new state. The mind is the seed, and the outer life is the fruit. If the fruit is bitter, the answer is not to paint the fruit or hide it, it is to change the seed. Your thoughts are the seeds of your future, and what you plant consistently is what will grow. You don't get to plant weeds of worry and harvest a garden of peace. It does not work that way. The law is precise, faithful, and unchanging. Thought precedes form, and belief creates behavior. People often say, "I'll believe it when I see it." But spiritual law says, you'll see it when you believe it. Belief is the doorway to manifestation. What you mentally accept, you magnetically attract. So if you are waiting for life to prove itself to you before you rise in faith, you are reversing the law. You must rise in faith first. You must believe, feel, and walk in the change inwardly before anything shifts outwardly. When your mind is saturated with truth, your circumstances will begin to reflect that truth, sometimes suddenly and sometimes gradually. But it will happen. The universe is not moved by begging, panic, or pleading. It is moved by conviction, by clarity, and by inner alignment with spiritual laws. No amount of effort in the outer world can substitute for a mind still enslaved by doubt. You can work hard, push, hustle, and strive, but if your mind keeps recycling the same old stories of limitation, you'll keep returning to the same results. The breakthrough is not in doing more. The breakthrough is in thinking higher. Elevate your consciousness, and your life will rise with it. The moment you change your mental assumptions, your entire vibration changes. The people you attract shift. The opportunities you notice expand. The way you respond becomes empowered. You stop reacting and start creating. You no longer look to your circumstances for proof of progress. You look within and know the seed has been planted. Change begins when you take your mind off the problem and fix it on the solution. When you stop magnifying the lack and start magnifying the vision. When you stop asking how and start declaring now. The spiritual path is not about forcing change in the outer world. It is about aligning your inner world so completely with divine truth that change becomes inevitable. You become the thermostat, not the thermometer. You no longer reflect the temperature of life, you set it. This is the sacred shift. This is the real power. This is where true change begins. Faith is the spiritual electricity that rewires the brain into divine alignment. It is not just a feeling of hope or a vague sense of belief. It is a conscious and deliberate act of choosing truth over appearances. Fear is the natural program of the human mind, a survival mechanism that repeats worst-case scenarios, clings to the past, and imagines danger in every delay. But faith is the supernatural override that lifts you above this pattern and writes a new mental script. Fear tightens the brain, freezes the body, and clouds perception. Faith relaxes the mind, awakens the spirit, and opens up creative flow. The brain responds to whatever signal it receives most consistently. When fed fear, it builds neural pathways of worry and defense. But when bathed in faith, it begins to build new pathways of confidence, clarity, and calm expectation. The brain is a servant to the emotional and energetic environment you provide. When you live in a state of chronic fear, your brain adjusts its chemistry to support that environment. It produces stress hormones, heightens anxiety, and constantly scans for problems. But none of that is your identity. It is simply your current programming, and programming can be rewritten. Faith is the reprogrammer. When you begin to speak life, imagine victory, and rest in divine timing, your brain begins to shift. It stops preparing for disaster and starts expecting miracles. This is not about denying challenges. It is about choosing to focus on divine truth in the face of them. Fear says, "This is too big for you." Faith says, "Nothing is too big for God working through you." And the brain follows whichever voice is louder. Every time you choose faith over fear, you create a new groove in your mind. At first, it may feel unfamiliar or even fake, but repetition is the key. Just as the brain was once trained by fear, it can be retrained by faith. Speak the words even if your emotions shake. See the outcome even if logic argues. Feel the result even if your senses disagree. Each act of faith is a signal to your subconscious mind that a new reality is being installed. The brain cannot resist consistency. Eventually, what was once uncomfortable becomes automatic. What was once effort becomes ease. What was once struggle becomes flow. Fear leads to control, hesitation, and small thinking. It creates a narrow tunnel in the mind where possibilities shrink and problems expand. Faith does the opposite. It opens up the mind to divine intelligence. It invites intuition, ideas, and inspiration. The brain starts looking for solutions instead of threats. It begins seeing doors where before there were only walls. You were never meant to live under the rule of fear. You were meant to command your brain with the voice of faith. Fear produces a mind full of noise. Faith produces a mind full of peace, and from that peace comes power. Faith is not blind, it is visionary. It sees beyond appearances. It believes not based on evidence, but on spiritual certainty. The brain does not need facts to rewire itself. It needs focus, and what you focus on becomes your internal reality. When that internal shift is sustained, your outer reality begins to reflect it. The world begins to match the vibration of your renewed mind. Fear never leads to lasting transformation. It only leads to cycles of anxiety. But faith transforms because it speaks from the end result. It doesn't ask for permission, it declares the outcome. And when that declaration is repeated with feeling and conviction, the brain rewires itself accordingly. Your mind is not broken, it is simply shaped by past repetition. Fear may have built some walls, but faith is the hammer that breaks them down. You don't wait for the brain to believe, you train it by believing first. You plant the seed of faith with your words, water it with your imagination, and protect it from fear with your daily focus. The harvest is a renewed mind, a brain no longer programmed by fear, but rewired by unshakable faith. Your words are not random sounds, they are living forces that shape the very atmosphere of your life. Every time you speak, you are planting a seed in the soil of the universe, and that seed will produce after its kind. Words are spiritual containers. They carry energy, intention, and authority. Most people speak casually, unaware that their words are writing the script of their future. But whether you speak with awareness or not, the law remains the same. What you affirm, you attract. If your language is filled with fear, complaint, doubt, and defeat, your reality will be shaped by those very energies. But if your words align with truth, peace, power, and vision, your life will mirror that higher frequency. You are not just talking, you are constantly creating. From the beginning of time, creation responded to spoken command. "Let there be light" was not just a phrase, it was a spiritual activation. The same principle exists within you. When you say, "I can't do this," you are not making an observation, you are giving a command to your subconscious mind, which will begin to support that limitation. When you say, "Nothing ever works out for me," you are not venting, you are scripting a future in which things continue to fall apart. The universe does not judge your words as right or wrong, fair or unfair, it simply obeys them. Your words are not echoes of what is happening, they are blueprints for what is coming. People often wait for life to change before changing how they speak, but that is reversing the law. Your words must go before you, like spiritual soldiers clearing the path. If you keep speaking what you see, you'll keep seeing what you speak. But when you begin to speak what you desire with faith and consistency, your reality begins to bend to the sound of your voice. Your life begins to obey your command. You must stop speaking from your conditions and start speaking from your convictions. Even in the dark, declare the light. Even in delay, speak acceleration. Even when nothing appears to change, speak as if everything is shifting, because it is. The brain listens to your words and adjusts its chemistry to match. Your cells respond to your voice. Your vibration rises or falls with the words you use repeatedly. If you constantly say, "I'm tired, I'm unlucky, I'm stuck," your body and environment will obey. But if you begin to affirm, "I am guided, I am favored, I am rising," you send a new signal to your subconscious, and the energy around you begins to shift. You are not faking it, you are forming it. Words do not just describe reality, they define it. Even small phrases matter. Saying, "I don't know," too often invites confusion. Saying, "I always get what I want in divine timing," invites ease. Saying, "This is hard," builds resistance. Saying, "I am built for this," builds resilience. Words are not passive, they are spiritual declarations, and every word spoken is either building a bridge to your breakthrough or a wall to your limitation. You do not need to beg for change, you need to speak it. You do not need to chase results, you need to declare them. Consistent, conscious speech has the power to reroute your path entirely. This is not about denying facts, it is about declaring truth that transcends them. It is not about sugarcoating reality, it is about understanding that your words are a tool for transformation. Speak health even if symptoms linger, speak wealth even if the account is low, speak peace even if chaos surrounds you. What you keep speaking, you will eventually see, not because your words are magic, but because they are alignment. They bring your inner world into harmony with divine law, and once your words match that law, your life will reflect its power. Imagination is not a child's game or a whimsical escape from reality. It is the sacred blueprint upon which destiny is built. Everything that has ever come into existence began first in someone's imagination. The invisible precedes the visible, and the inner vision always creates the outer experience. You do not move toward what you wish, you move toward what you see and feel in the sanctuary of your mind. Imagination is the workshop of the soul, the place where divine ideas take form long before they touch the physical world. Whatever you consistently imagine with feeling and faith begins to impress itself upon the subconscious, and from there, circumstances begin to shift to match the image held. Most people are unknowingly imagining against themselves. They use their imagination to rehearse worst-case scenarios, repeat past pain, or magnify future fear. They call it overthinking or anxiety, but it is simply misdirected imagination. And because the subconscious does not know the difference between a real experience and a vividly imagined one, it accepts that mental image as instruction. So if you keep picturing failure, lack, or rejection, you are quietly building the framework for that reality. The law is precise. Whatever is held with consistency and emotion in the imagination begins to manifest in form, for better or worse. The imagination is sacred ground. It is not a place to dwell in doubt or fear. It is the realm where you meet your higher self, where the life you desire is previewed, shaped, and spiritually claimed. You are not waiting on the universe to decide your destiny. The universe is responding to the picture you hold in your imagination. You do not attract what you want with words alone, you attract what you vividly imagine and emotionally accept as already yours. The blueprint must come before the building, and the mental movie must play long before the physical scene appears. It is in your imagination that you step into the reality of what's possible before it ever arrives. The most powerful changes in life come not from trying harder, but from imagining differently. If you want to change your world, you must change the inner pictures you carry. You must see yourself walking in the answer, not begging for it. You must feel the freedom before the chains break. You must imagine the celebration before the achievement. This is not pretending, this is preparing. It is aligning yourself with a higher frequency so that what you picture becomes magnetized to your experience. The subconscious mind builds what you feed it, and imagination is its primary language. When you live by imagination, you do not live by logic alone. Logic is limited to what has already happened. Imagination opens the door to what is possible beyond your history. It invites divine guidance, creativity, and spiritual power. It breaks cycles by forming new patterns. When you consistently imagine a life of peace, abundance, purpose, and joy, your energy begins to match that reality. Doors open, people appear, situations shift not by force but by spiritual law. You are no longer chasing life, you are creating it from within. Imagination does not require evidence, it creates evidence. You must hold the image long enough for it to become more real to you than your current condition. As the blueprint strengthens, the old structures begin to fall away. You are always building something in your mind. The only question is whether you are building fear or faith, bondage or freedom. Every thought is a brick. Every emotion is a tool, and every day you imagine with intention, you are drawing the blueprint of your destiny in bold, divine ink. You are not a victim of the past, you are a creator of the now. What has happened to you may have shaped your experiences, but it does not define your identity. The past is a chapter, not the whole book. It is a set of moments that can inform your wisdom, but should never imprison your power. Too many people live with their eyes fixed on what was, repeating old stories, replaying old wounds, and reliving decisions they can no longer change. But life is not governed by memory, it is governed by consciousness. What you are aware of, focused on, and aligned with in the present moment holds far more power than what occurred yesterday. The energy you carry right now is the pen writing the next sentence of your life. And the miracle is this: you get to choose what you create from this moment forward. The mind often clings to the past because it finds comfort in familiarity, even if that familiarity is painful. But comfort is not the same as truth. The truth is that the same force that created worlds lives within you now, and that force is always active in the present moment. It does not look backward, it does not hesitate, it does not need your history to approve your future. The divine works with what you give it now. If you keep offering it your past, it will keep reflecting it back to you. But if you offer it faith, vision, and new belief, it will shape something entirely different. The past can only live through memory, and memory only lives if you feed it. You are under no obligation to replay pain, regret, or trauma. You are not here to live as a prisoner of your former self. You are here to walk in freedom, fully aware that every breath is a reset. Every choice is a new seed, and every moment is an open door. You are not stuck, you are simply rehearsing the same thoughts. You are not limited, you are simply believing the voice of the past more than the voice of truth. When you shift your focus to the now, you reclaim the power that was always yours. You realize that peace is not waiting for you in the future, it is available now. You discover that healing does not require time, it requires a change in belief. And you remember that nothing outside of you controls the atmosphere within you unless you give it permission. This is the true liberation, realizing you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to believe and embody in this very moment. To create the now is to stop asking for permission to begin again. It is to stop dragging the past into conversations, relationships, and decisions. It is to say, today I choose power, today I choose truth. Today, I create something new. You do not need the approval of your history to walk into your destiny. You only need alignment with the present. Everything you need, wisdom, strength, clarity, and guidance, exists now. The divine is not found in what used to be, it is found in what is. It is accessed through attention, intention, and awareness of your power in this moment. Your past does not cancel your promise. The things that hurt you do not get to write the final chapter unless you hand them the pen. And the pen has always been in your hand. You are not rebuilding who you were, you are becoming who you truly are. You are not reclaiming a past version of yourself, you are stepping into a present revelation. This is the sacred truth. You are not shaped by what happened, but by what you decide to believe about it. And the belief you hold now is the blueprint of what comes next. The past is over, but your power is eternal, and that power is fully alive in the now. Ask ChatGPT.